Have you ever thought about a seed? Good seeds are little things that, if planted at the right time, the right place, and are tended to, become huge blessings down the road. Whatever seeds you're sowing today, seeds for your future, for your family, for your faith, or for actual food, you're at the right place. Welcome to the Sowing Seed Podcast. Now, here's your host, a man who knows a thing or two about, a thing or two, Matt Miller.
Yesterday was a big afternoon here at EIEIO. The chickens went off to freezer camp. Now, for those of you guys that maybe haven't heard or listened to some of the previous episodes, the week of October 23rd, we ended up getting, I think it was 18 broiler chickens, baby chicks, little fluff balls, little white or yellow fluff balls that in literally 8 weeks time go from being a little baby chick that you used to seeing at the Tractor Supply store or seeing in pictures to being chickens ready to harvest for meat that are 7 to 8 pounds in size. So yesterday was the day we had been cautiously anticipating the opportunity to stop our time raising chickens at least through the rest of the winter and to fill the freezer with fresh meat, all of which we knew where it came from and knew what it was being fed. And yesterday at 1 p.m. ended up being the time that a couple of my nephews came over. All of the kids were home after the two oldest came home from college, and we ended up doing the deed. So just to kind of lay the foundation for those of you that have never really been part of that whole process, my challenge in the past has been mortality rate, losing a bunch of birds along the way. This time we actually did fairly well. We lost 3 birds total during the 8 weeks. One was a chick that was lost in the first week. Another was lost about a week ago. I just went down to the coop one day and it was dead. And then the third actually died in the time between us gathering the chickens down in the coop yesterday and then a couple hours later when we ended up harvesting them. So I don't know if it ended up just getting sat on and suffocated in the cages by the other birds or what. But anyway, we lost 3. The key factor, I think, that limited the mortality rate for us this go around compared to other times is the fact that the birds really in the first 2 to 3 weeks have to be kept warm. I used 2 heat lamps instead of 1. I covered the trough that we kept them in for the first 3 weeks almost solid. So there was no opportunity for anything but hot air and heat that the birds were exposed to during that time. Just, a draft or just a chill, especially when they're young and they don't have feathers yet, can make a big difference. So I think that helped us out a ton. As far as processing, we have a pretty decent setup. We've got a Featherman plucker. For those of you that don't know what a Featherman is, you can look it up online. But essentially, it looks like a big trash can. On the inside of it, it has these little nodules, I guess, these little rubber fingers that stick out into the middle of it all over the place. And it's got a place to plug it in, and it's got a place to hook up a hose. And you take a chicken after it has been killed, and it's been given an opportunity to bleed out. That chicken gets scalded in a pot of water for about a minute or so. Nothing more than that. Optimal temperature is 145 degrees Fahrenheit, and we just used a turkey fryer with propane to do that, and then of course had a thermometer that stayed in the pan so that we could make sure that we were keeping the temperature fairly stable. The water gets too hot, you start to cook the chicken and the skin, and the feathers just don't come off as easily. So after a while, you just kind of figure out a happy medium and make it work. Thankfully, we didn't have a very windy day, so we didn't have to worry about temperature fluctuations or the flame of the propane burner blowing out, that type of thing. After they are scalded, then they are put in the Featherman plucker. The water's turned on, and then the motor is turned on, and it just spins round and round and round, and the chickens end up the feathers get caught on those little fingers, and the feathers end up literally being plucked right off of the bird. And for most of the 15 that we processed yesterday, that did a pretty good job. There was a few I had to pluck some additional feathers from, just because I didn't maybe scald them long enough for that type of thing. From there, they end up being gutted, and all the insides get taken out, and then they get put in an ice bath, essentially salt and ice and water bath, where the body temperature is cooled, and then they end up being taken into the house where Amy and the inside crew ends up either just cleaning them up and putting whole birds in 2 to 2.5 gallon freezer bags and putting them straight in the freezer, or in some cases they actually, separated the breasts and the thighs and that type of thing. We have gotten in past processing times to where, we've had all the chicken wings in bags, and all the legs in bags, and all the breasts in bags, and all that. And while that was nice, that was a lot of work. And so we've gotten to where if we're going to eat that stuff, we'll grab it from the store because it's a lot easier that way. Otherwise, we've got the whole bird. We'll cook it whole, and then we'll use it for whatever we choose to use it for, whether it be soups or taco meat or in casseroles or what have you. Entire process from setup to completion was about 2.5 hours. It was myself, my daughter Rebecca, my son Zane, my daughter Sarah, and then my wife Amy, and then my nephews Chris and Raz, who were part of the operation, and had a good time. And things went really smoothly. This wasn't our first time, obviously. Chris has always been a huge help when doing this. This time was no exception, and it was cool to see the kids kind of jump back in and relearn things and be involved in their part, and things went pretty smoothly. We've got a bunch of beef and pork ribs that we are trading to the boys for their time, and then they'll each take a chicken home as well. And then aside from the beef that's raised by the boys' folks, the pork that we have raised previously, and now our chicken, we will have a pretty full freezer for the next year. It's nice not having to go to the store and buy meat, that's for sure. So anyway, just wanted to give you all an update. We are back now to being chickenless here at EIEIO. Next chicken project will be after the first of the year, once our hatchery, McMurray Hatchery, has some young pullets available. We'll probably wait till March time frame just because it'll be a bit warmer out, and we will give them another shot and see if we can't raise about 20 of them or so through the 6 months to where we can finally have some eggs being produced here at EIEIO once again. Guys, thanks for listening to the podcast or to our Alexa brief. For those of you guys that value the show and the content, man, we would really love your support. There's a couple ways you can do that. First off, we have a chat bot by the name of Pete the Podcaster. If you're looking for a simplified way to subscribe, to leave an iTunes review, and to share this content with your friends, you can go to sowingseedpete.com, and in a couple of minutes' time, he will step you through the process. He's got all the links and everything, so he really simplifies it for you. If you're willing to go over to Amazon and leave us a review for our Amazon Alexa brief on the Amazon Echo, then you can just go to Amazon.com, type in Sowing Seed Alexa brief, and it will come up, and you can leave a review just like you can for a book or for any other purchase that you do on Amazon. And, if you don't have an Echo, I encourage you to get one. But otherwise, regardless, we'd love a review there because we're really looking to make a big impact this year using the Echo device moving forward as an additional platform. By the way, it's the exact same show on the Alexa and on iTunes. So anyway, appreciate you much. This will be my last recording of the year. You won't get this until, I believe, January time frame. But appreciate you big time. God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Sowing Seed Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a 5-star review in iTunes or your podcast player of choice. So until next time, go plant the seed you need to succeed.